Welcome back to DeLeon Gray to UMBC.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to go back. You have recently completed a Ph.D. program, but I want to go way back to 2005, 2006, and why you came to INDS and what your INDS concentration was.
Well, my INDS concentration was education and psychology, but I was always interested in math. And I didn't know how these things would all work together for me, but I did know that I wanted to get a PhD in educational psychology moving forward. So together with my INDS advisor and my advisors in education and psychology, we carved out the perfect program to set me up and move me forward in this career. And I ended up with education and psychology as my concentration, but I also had a large number of math courses that I took. When I got into grad school in educational psychology at Ohio State, I got my master's on the way in statistics on the way to the PhD in educational psychology, which sets me up perfectly for my current position at NC State, where I'm teaching statistics courses, teaching educational psychology courses, and conducting research in schools on students' motivation.
So you were recently hired for is this a professor track, tenure track
Yes,
position?
tenure track assistant professor position.
Congratulations. I want to go back to your capstone. What did you choose to do your capstone project on your senior year in interdisciplinary?
I did it. I had a lot of long conversations with my primary advisor in psychology about this, but I ended up doing it on the role of social relationships and the academic motivation and educational aspirations of adolescent mothers. I'll never forget the title because I presented my work a million times at different conferences, both here and at national conferences, and I wrote a paper. My capstone paper actually ended up getting published in the UMBC Review.
I remember that. Congratulations. And are you working on a paper now? What are you writing? You just completed a dissertation, is that right?
Yes.
Are you looking forward to any other publications in the near future, or what are your goals in terms of writing and research?
Well, let me tell you what INDS did for me. Working on that capstone project and working towards publication with that actually propelled my career in graduate school in a lot of ways. I came in seeking out writing opportunities, and now that I've graduated, I just graduated with 7 peer-reviewed journal articles and 1 book chapter already written. And so I have several, but importantly, they all can be traced back to my capstone project. I study students' social needs. I'm concerned with their social needs in schools because I say these are not just concerns of theirs, they're priorities for students. And what I'm finding is that the more we link the social dimensions of classroom environments with the academic dimensions, the stronger students' motivation to achieve actually become. So these papers all speak to that, and my research focus stemmed from that project.
How else, in what other ways did an interdisciplinary undergraduate education, prepare you for graduate study?
Well, first of all, when I was here, it was interesting because when I'd go to other schools which didn't have an interdisciplinary studies department, they had other departments. I'd say, oh, my major is INDS. They would say, oh, general studies? And I would say, no, not quite. I actually do have a focus, and this is heading in a specific direction. But I wasn't able to see it at the undergraduate level because people are used to just asking you, what is your major? When I got to graduate school, however, and I started writing for grants and different projects, people want someone with an interdisciplinary focus because they want you to be able to speak broadly and convey your messages broadly, not to just one audience, but how many different areas is your work impacting? And normally, work is not just impactful for your area, whether you're in biology or you're in political science. Normally, what you do actually can speak to a number of different fields and arenas. And so, interdisciplinary studies as an undergraduate prepared me for those types of conversations early on in grad school, and I sought out ways to disseminate my work a little more broadly in education outlets, and even within that, in K through 12 audiences and within peer-reviewed journals, also at education conferences, psychology conferences, and some general outlets with media.
Now, some people might say, in graduate school that makes a lot of sense, but why not, as an undergraduate, just major in psychology? Did you consider psychology originally as your major?
I considered it, but I realized that it wasn't enough, and I wanted to really be special and do something and do some things my own way. I mean, there's a saying, make UMBC yours, and I wanted to do that. That is an appropriate statement not only for the social scene at UMBC, but it also applies to what you do in your studies. And so I saw this as an opportunity. You only get one undergraduate experience, and I needed to make it my own and own it, and INDS was the way to go.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add about your academic journey in the last 8 years?
Well, one thing I'd say is that it takes hard work. It takes being committed to something beyond just yourself, and being committed to a cause. And it takes a lot of coaching, and coaching starts not when you graduate and go on to graduate school. Coaching starts here at UMBC, and you get the coaching that you need in INDS. They provide you with a good sense of how special and rare you actually are in a broader scope, and they set you and they position you to be connected to people in different departments, and so that coaching is key. And if there's one thing that I learned from that experience is that my students will need a coach, and not just someone who can guide them on research, but someone who can guide them in making real-time life choices.
Speaking of coaching, that reminds me of a very important issue both for undergrads and graduate students, and that is the ability to write well, and I mean analytical writing. How did you gain those skills? How were you coached to be a better, more effective writer? Both because that is exceptional that you were published in the UMBC Review, and I'm sure you've had a lot of writing to do in your graduate program. How did you learn to write well?
In my opinion, the key to writing well is, revising. It's not your first draft. It's never your first draft. Many times in undergrad, what one might do is write a paper at the last minute for a class, and they say that, I write better that way. Well, no, that's not the case. It's just that you only write that way. But if you sat down and thought about it a little more and engage in, a thoughtful critique of your work, you'd actually find a lot of areas where you can improve. And just having the focus of mastery, never saying that this is the very, very best. It's the very best you can do at the moment. Run a lap or two, drink some water, come back to it, and you'll find something that will make it just that much better. And so never settling, and always trying to understand what you do more, and the power of words and word play. And I've had a lot of fun with words over the years, and I'm still learning new phrases and new ways of conveying information every day. So it's I'd say I know how to write well for a graduate student, but there's still another level of writing for me to reach. So I have a way to go.
Sounds like you enjoy writing.
Interestingly, I never would have thought that I would have. I never thought of writing as something that I do, but yeah, I kind of fell into it, and I noticed that a lot of ideas can be conveyed on paper. The beauty of conveying an idea on paper and not just saying it to someone is that it can be replicated. It can be reproduced. You know, conversation is only there for the moment, and if it's not recorded, that's it. But if you document something, then it goes down. It can go down in the annals of history. And so you want what you convey not only to influence people today, but to shape minds in years to come, long and well after you're gone. So you can only do that through writing, in my opinion.
Well, thank you. And we love it when alumni keep in touch, and we especially love it when they come back like you did today to share with us the good news in their career development. So again, congratulations.
Anytime.